Day 3 of MSI had concluded a few hours earlier, and I thought that was a very interesting game between Infinity and Cloud9. And this is about their third trick that they approach. And before we go into details of it, let's take a look at the win conditions for both teams. Now for Infinity, they're opting for the skilling team fighting side of the meta, where what they want to do is they want to delay soul point, they want to reach a 2 item power spike, they want to group on the objective first, and then they want to go for a team fight. Whereas Cloud9, while they have some form of trick stacking as well, their scaling did not necessarily be comparable to their opponents, and they could be taking the trick stacking side of this matchup. So what we're going to be examining here is the third dragon, where Infinity has already given up 2 dragons for Cloud9, and they want to prevent Cloud9 from getting to Soul Point. So this is the scenario at hand here, and there's 5 options as to what Victor can do as he walks out of base. So prior to this, Victor gets dove from the top side of the map, and Cloud9 spend a bunch of ultimates and Tristana's flash to kill him, and now as Victor respawns out of base in the 1959 image, he can have 5 possible options here. Option A, ignore top wave and walk the dragon out of base. Option B, pick up the top wave and then walk the Drake. Option C, pick up the top wave and then TP the Drake. Option D, ignore top wave and TP the Drake. And option E, ignore Drake and commit to pushing top. If you were the victor, if you are Infinity's Cody here, what would you do? Pause the video and take some time to think about it. And when you're ready, resume playing the video in 3, 2, 1. So the option that Infinity goes for is that Cody walks to the top wave, picks up the wave, and then walks to the Drake. This ends up being the worst case scenario, whereas there are 3 suboptimal scenarios, and the best case scenario, which would be picking up the top wave and using the TP to Drake. Let's go into the details of why. So Cody walks the top lane wave, and then chooses to walk directly all the way down through his jungle to the Drake. However, as the dragon had already spawned at this time, he now finds himself cut off by the 4 men in the mid lane who are pushing Infinity out of position, and Infinity are forced to control of the Drake Valley, and Cloud9 collapse onto the dragon area, find a pick on the Udyr, and secure Drake and Soul Point for themselves. Now instead, if the victor were to TP into this position instead of walking down, they were the 4 people, and at this point of time, they will be much stronger than their opponents with the 2 items on the Kai'Sa as compared to the 1 item on the Jinx, and they would have the option to push out Cloud9 from entering this area, with Victor being a zone control mage. Why do we have to answer the top wave instead of simply ignoring it? At this point of time, as Victor is walking out, Infinity does not know if Cloud9 is going to be committing for a cross map away from Drake, and he has to at least be there to pick up the wave as necessary. If Victor starts to walk towards Drake right now, or directly TPs into the bottom side of the map, Cloud9 is ahead of the map, and should they have chosen to race against Infinity, this might have been a possible inhibitor for Cloud9. And lastly, if they choose to completely ignore Drake, this would then put Cloud9 on Soul Point and enable Cloud9 to fork Infinity on the Baron when it spawns 5 minutes from this point. And with that, the best option in this case would be to pick up the top lane wave and then TP down to Drake. That wraps up today's video and understanding the importance of being on the dragon to contest the space first, especially when you're playing a control mage like the likes of a Victor or a Rihanna. If Cody were playing the likes of an Akali, being later to the contest might be possible, where they're looking for a flank setup, but knowing and understanding that they have a zone control setup, it is important to use the TP early before the fight starts so they're there in position and force their opponents to check into the Victor laser and poke. If you enjoyed this video, please do leave this video a like and do consider subscribing to my channel. I hope you've been enjoying MSI so far, and I hope you continue to enjoy the games. There'll be more in-depth tactical analysis and coverage with some interesting learning points along the way as the tournament progresses. And with that, this is Jensen signing off.